Hello, good evening, and welcome to part 2 of peak performance discussion right here on the Presson Leadership Forum. I'm your host today, Webster Twambo Jr., the chairperson of the Presson Foundation. Sincere apologies, Navalia Vlahakis is unable to join us due to some unforeseen circumstances, so she'll be with us next time. So do let us know that you're getting us loud and clear. I need some confirmation that you can get us loud and clear. I need a witness. I need some witness that you can get us loud and clear. So, yes, I'm waiting for a confirmation that you can get us loud and clear. Come on, people. I need at least one witness. At least one witness that you're hearing us loud and clear. Please feel free to invite your friends, to tag your friends in the comment section. Do let us know that you're watching, and tell us what you're getting, or the highlights, what's really standing out for you in this discussion. So I'm waiting for at least one confirmation that we are loud and clear. Right. I'll give it about 10 seconds. All right. Any confirmation from anyone? All right. I can see people liking, but I want a comment. All right. Confirmed, loud and clear. Willis Mkosh. Beautiful. So for being the first one, Willis, you are going to get the Presson book. Congratulations, Willis. I didn't plan this, but for being the first one, for being the savior to get us started, you're going to get yourself, or you've won yourself, the Presson book, which was my second book that I published in 2016. All right, Rev Water is also tuned in. All right, beautiful. I'll be welcoming him soon, together with our other guests, Alan Shankar, loud and clear. Thank you, Alan, for joining us. Mialalanji Nankamba, I'm watching. Oh, beautiful. Thank you, Mialalanji. All right. Okay, please keep these comments coming, and invite one or two people, your friends. Who is that person you want you want to watch this program? Tag them. I believe this is a very critical topic that we are looking at today. All right, so we are going to get started with today's discussion, which is on peak performance. Peak performance. Peak performance. So peak performance is really about operating at one's optimum ability. So if you're not operating at your optimum ability, it's not yet peak performance. So as we are going to dissect this topic today, we'll focus on two questions. Number one, how can organizations achieve peak performance? Number two, how can organizations sustain performance? Because it's one thing to achieve peak performance, it's another thing to sustain this performance. So we are going to attempt to address these questions today, and we'll be sharing, in fact, we'll be highlighting these on the screen. Feel free to share your comments, your views. Yeah, so feel free to share your views around these two questions, which are right on your screen. How can organizations achieve peak performance amid COVID-19? Then the second question is, how can organizations sustain peak performance? Please share your views, or if you have questions, please post your questions in the comment section, and our guests will be able to address those questions. So this is part two. Part one was last week, Saturday, and sincere apologies, we suddenly ended the program due to some technical failure. So we thought that, today we do part two, so that we can also address some of the questions or answer some of the questions that were raised last week. So Rev Water was very kind enough to answer some of the questions through our platform, that is the Presson Foundation Facebook page. But we'll be able to go into detail this evening on some of the questions that were raised. All right, so my guests are ready. I'm going to read out, for the sake of those who might have missed last week's episode. So the first guest that I'll read out their profile is Ms. Namucana, who is a seasoned human resource management professional whose career spans over 30 years. She has worked for the private sector in Zambia and the United Nations. She's a founder and chief executive officer of Career Prospects Limited. She is also the national coordinator for Project Girls for Girls Zambia. Ms. Musiwa was the first female president of the Zambia Institute of Human Resource Management and is an honorary fellow of the Institute. She is currently the chairperson of the Zambia Institute of Human Resource Management Women's Network. She has received several awards at global, regional, and national level. Ms. Musiwa sits on several boards, among others, Bank of Zambia, Professional Insurance Corporation Zambia PLC, Premier Medical Services Limited, Jesuit Center for Theological Reflection, and Longhorn Associates Zambia. She's also the chairperson of the University of Zambia Council. Ms. Musiwa is a Catholic and congregates at Mary Immaculate Parish in Lusaka. She's a single mother who enjoys playing golf in her spare time. So if you want to catch her, you know where to go, golf. All right, let me come to Reverend Walter Mwambazi, who is an author. He has authored the 7 Principles for Financial Prosperity, Bank of Zambia Governor's Award recipient for individual contribution to financial education in Zambia. He's a life coach, facilitator, peak performance trainer, Mara mentor, digital marketer, and network marketer. Rev Water, as he is fondly known, also appears regularly on television and radio as a regular guest on syndicated programs. He also writes and manages blogs and articles, contributing regularly to leading nationwide publications and internet blogs, both public and off his various websites dealing with matters related to financial principles and wealth creation, including entrepreneurship and how to start business with little or no capital, personal financial management, helping individuals discover and exploiting their purpose through his Unleashing Your Destiny, the Master Strategic Life Plan coaching, as well as personal analysis and life mission workbooks. He's also a digital marketing professional and has operated his cutting-edge marketing outside the box system that allows for companies to create and run very effective campaigns online through social media, email, autoresponder campaigns, bulk SMS, websites, squeeze pages, landing pages, ad copywriting, banner ads, solo ads, video, viral, and organic marketing. These systems are managed using cutting-edge online platforms for bargain price campaigns to suit both individual and as well as SMEs and corporations. Wow, those are the profiles of our guests this evening. So, Rev water. Welcome to today's program.
Indeed, a big thank you to Presson Foundation, yourself, and a special greeting to all those who join us by way of streamed Facebook. And then, of course, at the same time, we know that those who watch this as a recording also want to welcome you to this. And I want to also greet my sister there, Madam Namucana.
Madam Namucana Musiwa, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much, Webster. Hello, Reverend, and hello, those who are joining in. Apollo, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're loud and clear.
Okay. There's a saying I like starting with sometimes when I'm feeling guilty like I am now. When a Chinese man begins to speak, they speak by quoting a proverb. They'll say something like a journey of 1,000 miles, that's with one step. When an American begins to speak, they start by telling a story or cracking a joke. The British will start by commenting on the weather. An African starts by apologizing. So I apologize that I couldn't join you at 6.
No. That's a nice one. We've just started actually. So
yeah. We were trying to do the connections and what have you.
That's a relief. I was feeling guilty.
Yeah.
No worries.
All right. It's an honor to have you, Miss Musiwa and Rev Mwambazi, on this program. It's really an honor to have you. So those who are joining us this week, last week we were looking at peak performance, and today we're doing part 2. And we'll be very happy to answer some of the questions that were asked last week, as well as those that will be asked today. So, like I earlier mentioned, Nabwali is unable to join us today due to some unforeseen circumstances, but be rest assured that next time she will be with us. So I can see a lot of comments already coming through. So very soon we'll be able to look at these comments as well as the questions that will be asked. But for now, let me, we're going to get started by maybe asking our guests. And maybe before I do that, the 2 critical questions that we'll be attempting to answer this evening is: how can organizations achieve peak performance? Number 2, how can organizations sustain peak performance? Please feel free to send your comments or your views around these questions. So maybe starting with us, Ms. Musiwa. Maybe you can just highlight, and I know you touched on this last week, maybe you can just highlight to us what peak performance is and why peak performance is important from the point of view of the employer and also the perspective of an employee. Ms. Musiwa.
Thank you so much, Webster. Organizations are in business to maximize performance, and it doesn't matter if that's a profit-making organization or a non-governmental organization or indeed a public institution. We all want to achieve the highest efficiencies possible. And when we talk about peak performance, we are talking about creating an environment where employees perform at their utmost best. What do we provide? And that goes for a lot of things. And I like to relate work to maybe upbringing. I think we need to bring up our children in a particular way that they uphold certain values in their lives, because it's these values that they'll grow up with, and they'll take those values with them into the corporate world, and they'll live out those values as they work. And when you go back to the time when you're young, parents taught us to tell the truth. They taught us to stick to time if we could. In fact, our parents were very time conscious as we were growing up. They teach us to be polite. They teach us to be courteous. Young children are taught the most important words: thank you, please, excuse me, sorry, I love you as well. And you find when you go in a school, those are the same values teachers, emphasize. You go in the corporate world, you find the set of core values. They're the same throughout all organizations: integrity, quality consciousness, sincerity, customer first, and all those things. So if a child has grown up knowing or thinking that it's okay to tell lies, they will not stop when they join an organization. So if a parent is a parent who tells the child that, look, if so-and-so comes here, tell them daddy isn't home or mommy isn't home, the child will grow up thinking it's okay to tell lies. But the moment you inculcate the truth, even if something is bad, of course you can't, sometimes you say certain blue, white lies and pink lies to protect someone, because you'll have to look at the age of a child. Sometimes the truth will harm them. So we grew up thinking parents bought babies from the hospital. It's only, but the children now know how babies are made. So you really need to gauge what truth is harmful, what truth is bad. But again, even when we are telling a lie, it shouldn't be far-fetched. I've been to companies where you want to see the accountant, for instance, and someone will say, no, he's in Siavonga. Then a short while later, he walks into right where you are. Why not just say you cannot see him, or he's committed, or can I ask him to call you, or something like that? Just being diplomatic about all this. So we cannot achieve peak performance if there's something wrong with the values in an organization. And I think as a country, we need to be angry about values in our society. People think it's okay to have corruption, for instance. People think it's okay to have a kickback when you're doing a deal. We need to fight all those things. We see things going wrong and we don't point it out. Why? Because we're taught, no, adults don't tell lies. So you get into the world of work thinking, my boss will never tell a lie. If the boss is not saying the truth, he's lying. So we need to face some of these things. And by cultivating good values, then we can now build on productivity. I think I'll end there for now.
All right, beautiful. So it means like I have 3 kids right now, and I think from what I'm picking from you, Namucana, is that the values that I inculcate in my children, actually, like the values of integrity, if these children grow up with these values, it will be very easy for them to fit in organizations that uphold integrity, for instance, as a value. So these values start from young age. I love that. That's brilliant. So maybe the other part of the question, I'll ask Rev to just come in and maybe amplify on the significance of, or the importance of peak performance from the point of view of the employer and the employee. And then as you touch on that, I want you now to pick it from last week where you're explaining about those 5 laws. I think that was deep. So you can quickly touch on that, and then we'll pick it from there.
Going to the laws. Okay, so let's begin first by really looking at the term peak. Like I think Namucana did a great definition of the terms last week. I believe she did. I am almost certain she did. And I think I just want to kind of pick it from there, just to amplify it a little bit. Something is said to perform at peak when it is operating, A, in the environment it should operate, B, with all the relevant tools, processes, and systems to back it, and then C, in its full-fledged purpose, like the reason why it was created. So if I oversimplify this example, if you take a hammer and try to use it as a screwdriver, a hammer is very effective if you're hammering a nail, but it is terrible when trying to screw a screwdriver. And in the words of Dr. Miles Monroe, where purpose is not known, abuse is inevitable. So why are there so many underperformers? For me, the answer is very simple. A, they are probably not where they should be. Like, honest to God, they are there by accident. They are literally like the proverbial feather in the wind, and you know, circumstances blew them into that, you know, place where they are. You know, somebody made a call and said, my niece has just you know, passed grade 12. Do you have any opening there for nurses? Because I want to see if she can do like, and she come in and do a course in policing, you know. So we have a lot of police and a lot of nurses, and the list goes on, who are nowhere near that. That's just not their field. They have no passion for it whatsoever, and it was literally circumstances that drove them there. Now you can imagine what that's like across the multi-sectoral spectrum of society. And how many people do you, as professionals with me on this call, know that are in that position? They are there because, you know, somebody made a call, or they threw applications everywhere, and then whatever worked, you know, and then that's where they went. And it's a very unfortunate situation, because then once you are not operating with purpose, now comes the abuse. Why? Because first, there's no passion. Because remember, the passion is the, what would I say? It's the fuel that drives, you know, the mission. And it is triggered. This passion is triggered by a sense of purpose. So when there's a sense of purpose and destiny, you know, tied to a mission, then all of a sudden the passion to drive is there. And even if the money is not right, the circumstances and the environment is annoying and stifling, because you have such a passion, you either transpose to another place where you can continue executing that, or you work so hard to make the circumstances where you are change, because this is something you're doing out of passion. So for me, I believe peak performance is inachievable outside of purpose. I just don't see how it's possible, because you will burn out inevitably, and the burnout will be mainly because of disillusionment. You know, when you sit there, you're like, you know, even when you're sitting in your office, you're just dreaming of your passion, whatever that passion is. That's where your mind is. Even in the office, your mind is just in that, and everywhere you go, your mind is that. Then you know already that I think Pano is a Vutangani. I'm going to struggle, and you can see it. Let's go back to the nurses. There's a reputation, not all of them, but some of them, for being very cruel and very unfriendly. And they look like you're disturbing them when you go to the hospital. Like you know, like they have to stop whatever they're doing to save you. That person is not operating from passion. That person is operating because that's the job that showed up. They have no passion for it whatsoever, and it shows. And I'm sure you all remember especially teachers. You remember teachers, because lecturers is different. People tend to lecture in what they like. So lecturing is different. But with teaching, you have a lot of teachers where you even say, Jesus, give me grace to handle these 2 periods.
Yeah.
This teacher is going to kill us. And then there were teachers
Absolutely.
you loved the subject. You say, oh, I love geography, because the teacher was so, you know, powerful. Okay, I know I didn't touch on the other ones. I'll get to them. But I just thought I should kind of like add to what you say.
You've laid a solid foundation, Rev, and I love the way you're just coming out to put things into context. And we'll come back to those. Or is it 5 laws or 4 laws? The ones that yes, 5 laws. We'll come back to that. Let me come to Madam Namucana Musiwa. So, Miss Musiwa, I think I would like you to amplify your points. I think which you touched on last week, the Kaizen concept. The Kaizen, one of my favorite concepts, which I love so much. Of continuous development. So, how can you actualize Kaizen in an organization from the point of view of an employee? How can you effectuate or apply the Kaizen concept? And then how do you link the Kaizen concept to performance in an organization?
Thank you very much, Reverend and Webster. I like the point Reverend mentioned on passion. When you have passion for something and you enjoy doing it, success will just follow because nobody is forcing you. You're not doing something because somebody is watching. It's something you really love to do. And I want to acknowledge a comment by Victor Jarabani. He says he attended training that we did 19 years ago, and it impacted on him. And I'm very happy about that feedback, because I believe even to achieve Kaizen, you must be converted to quality in the same way that we get converted to Christianity. It's not something you do only when you have the time. And I always tell people there's some quotations I've mastered from different authors and philosophers. One of them is by Nancy Austin. She says quality is never an accident. It's a result of high-level planning, sincere effort, and commitment to making it happen. So if you want Kaizen, first you must ensure you transform your staff. And I'm proud to and can confidently talk about quality and Kaizen, because I worked for 3 years in an institution on the Copper Belt under both Longyear and the Anglo-American. I underwent a 3-day course in quality management, a course that initially I thought I didn't need to attend because I thought I'm a graduate from the University of Zambia. I've spent 16 years at school, 16 and a half if you count the time when we closed for 6 months after rioting as students at yeah, so I thought
I didn't see that one coming.
I never threw stones, by the way.
Okay.
So I said to myself, I don't need to learn about quality. I know what quality is. And it was so, I didn't have a choice. The employer just said, look, this is a policy. You join Bot Longyear, you have to undergo quality training, or we don't confirm you. So I underwent that training. And as I went through the training, I discovered how much I had been assuming all my life. I realized how much I thought I knew, but didn't really know. I realized how much I ignored certain things that I should really be knowing. And when you look at Kaizen, it's so basic, sounds complicated. Kaizen is a Japanese word that means continuous improvement. The first part, Kai, means change, and Zen, Z-E-N, means good. So it's about good change. It's about making small incremental changes every day. And sometimes my friends wonder why I'm the way I am. Some find me fussy because I always demand quality wherever I go, and I try my best to demand quality. But quality depends on a team. You can't deliver it alone. And even in institutions, don't try to just train the marketing department or the manufacturing department in quality. Train everybody, and that's why there's TQM or TOTO. You can't apply it to one section, you can't apply it to one part of your life. Now, talking about Kaizen, what is Kaizen? Kaizen, there are 5 words that stand for housekeeping. There are 5 Japanese words. There's seiri, seiso, seitong, shitsuke, and seketsu. These 5 words are also translated into English. Don't look puzzled. And you've done 5 years, Webster, so we've discussed these Japanese words. The first way, I won't go through all of them, but just in brief, seiri means sort out. If I ask the people listening now and watching to just take a moment to take their handbags or wallets or wherever you keep your stuff and empty the contents, you'll be shocked what you'll find in the bag. Or if you go on your table, maybe in the living room, in the bedroom, or even the office, you find a lot of stuff that you don't need. You find pens that have no ink and you're holding on to them. The days when we had scratch cards, when you buy talk time and scratch, you find a scratch card was used last year. You're still holding on to it. Now it's the receipts from ATMs, receipts from shops. You probably won't need it, but you're keeping it. What for? Business cards of deceased people. You're holding on to them. For what? Empty containers. The women will have perfume bottles on the dressing table. The perfume finished. Maybe the bottle looks fancy and you want to hold on to it. If you're keeping it as a sample, it's okay. But if you're not going to use it, throw it away. So when I went to Kitwe to work for Bot Longyear, we we had, okay, the company sent a truck to help me move, and we packed things in boxes. Our neighbors in Lusaka helped us pack, and I wasn't even sure what was packed where. So we arrived in Kitwe, and 6 months later, I still had boxes packed. A year later, I still had some boxes packed. And Mr. Pietsuale took us through 5S, through Kaizen, and we talked about sorting out, about Seiri, sort out the things you need from the things you don't need. There's some things you use every day, put them nearby. Things you seldom use, put them far, but put them in a place where you can find them. Things you never use, throw them away. So I said to myself, I've had these boxes packed for 1 year. What's in here? Because if I am not using them, I probably don't need them. So we unpacked the boxes, and guess what we found? We found even empty containers of Ajax and things we really didn't need. So when you do Seiri and apply Kaizen, you become more organized. You can find things. It's embarrassing for you as a service provider to tell a client, oh no, we can't find your invoice. Can you bring another one, a replacement or a duplicate? Now we are going paperless, and maybe it's a blessing that you can email an invoice, and somebody can search for it if they can't find the physical one. So that's about Kaizen. It's really about getting organized, arranging things properly, being clean as well. The word says so. It's about cleaning. Clean your surroundings, clean your mind. And you find the Japanese are so obsessed with cleaning. And cleaning is not just for the wife or the sisters or the workers from the council, the local authority. Everybody cleans, even the head of the house cleans. You find an MD sweeping his office or tidying his desk. Because when you sit in a clean environment, you don't worry that, oh no, visitors might come and find the place. Because it's a way of life, it's a habit, you do it all the time, it doesn't seem strange. And when I was growing up, Kenneth Kaunda was president. And sometimes he would visit a town. I grew up in Chingola. If we know that the president is coming, hello, baby girl. If the president is coming to Chingola, you find the council workers busy whitewashing trees. I don't see that happening nowadays. They're whitewashing trees, along the highway. And then in the townships, they're painting the houses, and they're painting just the two sides that face the street. If you go behind, you find they haven't painted. And when you talk about Kaizen, you're saying, don't clean up because you're expecting someone. Clean up all the time. Don't clean up because there's an outbreak of cholera. Clean up all the time. When people learn to clean up, they won't mess up. It's big adults who throw litter on the street on Freedom Way and Chachacha. The same adults won't throw litter at Manda Hill and the kids. Why? So that's about 5 years. It's about cleanliness. It's about having the discipline to do it over and over. I mustn't have a boss, my superior mustn't check what's in my drawers. I myself should keep my drawers tidy. There's some things that superiors don't do. In my home, I ensure that we clean as long as we need to clean. In the society, we clean, we keep the outside of the premises tidy, not just the front. The visitor may decide to use the back door. You keep the kitchen clean, you keep the toilets clean as well. So that it's really about personal organization, and that can improve your efficiency because you're finding things, you're not misplacing things because things are where they should be. So Seiton is about arrangement. There should be a place for everything, and everything should be in its place. I can go on and on. I think I'll end here.
Wow. I feel like we should just go on and on and on because these things Rev will bear witness. So interesting. I think the first time I heard from you more than 7-8 years ago talking about these things, and each time you speak about them, I always just love them. I learn every day, especially the Kaizen concept, incremental change. I think I've made it a point, to apply the Kaizen concept. Beautiful. I love that. So maybe Rev, your 5 principles, is it laws or principles? Are you on mute, Rev? You're muted. All right, so Rev, you seem to be on mute. Still on
I think he's
mute?
still on mute. We can continue and he can join when can
Yeah.
you hear us, Rev?
Yeah, so it seems, all right, so maybe you want to maybe log out and come back. Yeah, you sort that out. So maybe we can continue our conversation, Miss Siwa. I know your experience on this subject. Okay, let's try Rev. We still unable to hear you, Rev. All right, still unable to hear you, Rev. All right. Before I come back to you, Namucana, let me just read out some comments from, yeah, I'll read out some comments from our viewers. Okay, Mialalanji Nankambo says, I'm watching. Yvonne Piri Sikachea, okay, she's tagging in some people. David Muteke is following. Victor Jalabani. All right, some of you might have missed this comment. I'll read it out again. Namucana does not come off my CS mind since the last time she trained me first 19 years ago. 19 years ago. Imagine I still feel energized just from that one training. Legend. So that's coming from Victor Jalabani. We have Priska Mchelemba who is saying hello. We have Doreen Mwansa who is tagging a friend there. We have Victor Jalabani again. Rev Water sold me a book online, which I've used to transform others on his behalf. So the 2 panelists for me are #legend. Beautiful. Yeah, so Namucana, I think you need this. You have to make a commitment on air to write a book on these concepts that you are talking about. I'm putting you on the spot because it's so rich. I think.
Yes, it's just, I think sometimes I try to do too many things at once. I've got material for a book on customer service that I just need to edit, finalize, and probably put some case studies and publish. But I do have a finished typescript ready for printing on leadership tips for diplomats. Sometimes I get embarrassed by our representation in some countries. You know, some of the people who represent us sometimes are not so sure what they are doing. So I thought some of them may require tips on leadership. It's not easy to lead, and we all need training. And some of us are where we are because of being exposed to some training and learning from others. And actually, we are still learning. I'm learning as well from different people. I learn from the young. I learn from those who are older than me.
Awesome.
Rev, are you back?
Okay, Rev, I'm not sure what has happened, so try to figure out whatever you're supposed to figure out. So we have Matthews Chileshe, who is saying, I'm enjoying this. Mutinta Estwambo, who was celebrating her birthday a few days ago, she is following. Kigan Milumbe, all the way from Canada, he is watching. He's saying, super. Let me highlight this. Okay. Timothy Hantumba following. Michael Mwansabamba saying, great discussion. Benny Soko, beautiful discussion. Angela Mushipi, I agree, Webster. We are waiting for Madam Namucana. We have to highlight this. There you go, Madam Namucana. You have made a public commitment.
I'll take advantage of COVID and write and publish some works.
Yeah.
But it's nice to see Miralanji Nankamba. I don't know if she remembers. She was my first ever Skype friend. The time I joined Skype, I asked someone to help me test it. And she asked me to call her sister who was on Skype. And I had a Skype chat with Miralanji. So it's good to see her here. And I'm also seeing the comments, and thank you so much for the wonderful feedback. Webster, last week we also talked about the formula for success by Professor Kaolo Inamori.
All right.
We didn't quite exhaust
Hold your thought there.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I think Rev.
Yeah.
Awesome. We can hear you loud and clear now. Go for it,
Rev. I think I know exactly what happened. It's when you have cookies and then they cancel each other. So I had to do some IT stuff there just to make it work again. All right. Anyway, so the 5 laws. Yes, the 5 laws of performance. But let me give the secret to Namucana just in case it happens to her. If the sound goes completely, there's a glitch, reload the page, and then it should work. Reload, like not just logging out, but literally reload the page. And then you come back in. And I think it resets everything. Anyway, so 5 laws of performance. But those are very good points you're raising, Namucana. Very powerful. I'm also in love with Kaizen. And it really came to life beyond just the training we did together when you were really highlighting it, Namucana, together in Livingston. But when I went to train Toyota, that's when I saw it for myself, because the MD of Toyota said, she's saying that she can't hear me. So I think
you're loud and clear. I think that was a message, an earlier message.
Okay. So I was saying, so when I trained Toyota in I can't remember what I trained them on. I got to chat with the MD, and he said something profound. He said, for us, Kaizen is the culture. It's not just a concept. It's a culture of Toyota. It's part of our very culture and our value proposition. It's what we are on the inside. I said, wow, core values rather. So it's amazing. It's amazing when you see it being enacted, even here at the Zambian Toyota outlets. So anyway, the 5 laws of performance. So there are these, in order to see performance get enhanced on a stage-by-stage basis, I've come to learn these 5 great laws, and I will share them with you today very quickly. The first law is work that is monitored improves. So what exactly does that mean? Work that is monitored improves. It means if we get into the habit of literally writing down what we want to achieve, because remember, work has an objective. There's a goal at the end of work. So what is your goal? Of course, this goal should tie to the organizational goals. The organizational goals tie into the vision of the company. So the mission is the means by which the vision is achieved. So obviously the goals tie to the vision. The vision is the big goal, and then these small goals now are broken into short, medium, and long term. Now, in the short term goals, one of the most effective ways to see that you're getting to an end is to start actively monitoring what's going on. So at an individual basis, I'll use individuals because it's easier. If you tell yourself, I want to lose 10 kgs, okay, you talk to some expert like Makungo Muyembe, and he tells you, no, you don't want to do crash diets. Those are not good for you. It's not good for your heart. It's not good for whatever. You want to do it gradual. So he tells you, no, do it gradual, start exercising, A, B, C, D, F, G. And, so you want to lose 10 kg in a year rather than crash course and lose it in 2 months, because that's not sustainable. So do it in 6 months to 1 year. Oh, really? Yes. So he gives you a whole goal plan strategy. And then you begin to do. Now, key to improving that performance is to literally start monitoring everything you're doing. This week, I did 10 lunges. Write that down. I did. I lost a kg. Good. Write it down. or I did whatever, write it down. And at the end of that week, what begins to happen? You start to see that you've taken note of some figures. Next week, the week after, the week after. That alone changes a lot of things. So that's number one. So work that is monitored improves. Then number two, work that is monitored and reported improves greatly. So now watch the difference there. The factor now is the reporting. So it's not just writing 20 today, 40 tomorrow, 60 the next day. No, now you have to report it. And I love Excel. The other day I got a shot at because I belittled add math and calculus. But the truth of the matter is that for me, from my end, the Excel really does the job. I don't need to learn those complicated things because I can still achieve within my Excel. Now, one of the things I like about
you're still on law number 3.
No, 2. I'm on number 2. I'm on the reporting. Okay. One of the things that I love about Excel is you can now plug in numbers, and then you can say, give me a pie chart, give me a bar chart, give me this, and it starts giving you all these figures, and you look at them, and they really start to draw a picture, right? Like if the chart is going like that, I'm looking at, okay, if the chart is going like that, that's good, right? But if the chart is like this, that's questionable.
Yeah.
But if the chart is like that, oh my God, there's a problem there. We need to sit down and start talking. Why is it, going down like that? Why is it dropping? So those are very interesting because there's a report. And the beauty about reports, Mwambazi website and the viewers, the beauty about a report is it also speaks to you. I mean, imagine there you are writing this thing and you're preparing it. And then, you're looking at these numbers and they start to speak to you. You know what I mean? Huh? And they tell you something. So that's the beauty of a report. So the numbers never lie. You can have all these ideas, but when you put it in numbers, my friend, it speaks. That's why, for example, I didn't want to go this direction, but let me throw it in just for good measure. This month we've been
to number 3. Yeah.
Yes, this month we've been ably informed that we've hit 22.5 inflation. Those are numbers. Whether we politic or we don't politic, those are numbers, right? And they speak. Number 3, work that is monitored, reported, and reviewed improves substantially. Now, reviewing is where I go to report to my boss, and then my boss says, let's talk about these numbers. Let's talk about these numbers. What's going on here? You see, now that's a review. Now you're looking, you have to identify why did we have greater numbers last year, same period? What did we do then that we've not done now? And such comparison is very powerful. And sometimes if you can plug in numbers from 3, 4, 5 years, it's even a bigger story. You really start to see whether because sometimes we are so busy, we feel like we're working. You know what I mean? You feel like you're working, but then the numbers don't lie. It's like
absolutely,
all that effort and there's nothing. And then number 4, very interesting. Number 4 is if that work is then acknowledged and recognized, there is exponential improvement. Now note that exponential improvement. So what does that mean? So which means there's an acknowledgement. So it's not just feedback, but somebody is saying job well done. That's an acknowledgement. And you see, a lot of people think that it's about the money. No, it's about the acknowledgement by the superiors and those that are tasked with oversight to acknowledge that something was done. That itself is a very powerful performance booster. And then when it is also recognized, and this is where, Namucana, this is our space. This is where the idea of having those end of year, or is it every month employee of the whatever, those things. The idea, I mean, just putting a picture up there and 2 pictures of the next 2 people and giving them, even if it's just a simple token item within your own. In fact, sometimes you don't even have to give anything. Just put that picture up there.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. It changes the dynamics. And finally, number 5, if the 4 are repeated consistently, you achieve quantum leaps in performance. So now we see this thing going to the next level because the 4 are repeatedly done. So those are the 5 laws of performance.
Beautiful. Wow. So those are rev water laws of success.
Performance.
Beautiful.
Success is a different story.
All right, so I would like Namucana to connect the fourth law on reward, right? So
yes, acknowledgement
Namucana,
and reward is two. Acknowledgement
yeah,
and then reward.
yeah, and oh my God, as we begin to wind up, how do you connect? Why is it important to link performance and reward? And is it a challenge in some organizations? Or when that doesn't happen, then how does it affect performance? And I mean it.
Sorry, I missed part of what Reverend was saying. Up to now he's muted completely, but I can still answer the question. I missed all the four principles, but I can still comment. You know, we work because we love to work, but also because we have to sustain our livelihoods, and the employer must appreciate my effort, and so it's important that you reward performance. I'm one of those human resource professionals who oppose giving somebody an increment every year because he's served the institution for a long time. I believe that it's not about quantity. It's not about how many years you spend in an institution. It's about what you are delivering. What difference are you making? What impact do you have on the operations of an organization? Are you innovative? Are you bringing about change? And because if you are going to reward everybody every year, of course there's inflation. So you look at inflation and you review people's pay. Then you also look at the cost of living. You look at the time they've spent, yes. But what about the performance? There must be a difference between passengers and performers. Don't pay someone because they've worked for long. If you don't reward performance, you're going to discourage the outstanding employees. Everybody will just simply do enough not to get fired, and you kill innovation. But if I know that what I'm doing might lead to some reward doesn't mean money. I'm not talking about just increasing somebody's pay. Reward can even just mean appreciation or acknowledgement. Somebody notices what you have done, and they give you, they now you can't pat because of COVID, you can't pat somebody on the back, but they thank you later, a well done, an outing, maybe you take them for a meal, or just celebrating them, just letting everybody know that, oh, this person has achieved this. But again, nowadays institutions are talking about team building and they're promoting teamwork. So I'm also against the Labor Day Awards where you say the most improved worker, the best performer. Best performer, how? Was he working alone or was she working alone? What about the spanner girl or spanner boy who handed the person the span in order for them to do their work? So you can still reward the team for the effort that they've done. Different people play different roles, but when you just pick out somebody and reward them, you might create rivalry in the institution. If I'm a mechanic, I'll hide. I hear spanner number 13 is quite famous. I'll hide the spanner number 13 so that the mechanic doesn't do what he's supposed to do and will not get the job. Yeah. So yes, it's important. But again, everybody should know that our performance as a team is what makes us thrive or makes us tick, and therefore aim to do the best collectively. Aim to bring down costs. Maybe in one session we need to talk about the role employees play in controlling and reducing operational costs, because it's only when our costs are low that the institution can have surplus to reward the employees. And it will be stingy for any employer not to share the profits when they've made profit. There must be some incentive for the employees if they're doing the right thing. Thank you.
All right, I love that. I hope employers who want to achieve peak performance listening. I think That's very key. Reward should be, performance should be rewarded. Now, Rev, I know we just have a few minutes before we end the show. Last week we had some interesting questions. I think some of them you have already addressed them, but maybe let me pick out one from David Nkoma. In my business, I want to run like an international business, but I do not even have standard working procedure. If you're working with individuals who are semi-literate, how do you teach procedures for small businesses? Rev. Rev, are you there? You seem to be still. All right. Okay. Rev will be joining us. All right. Maybe you can pick that. Yeah, sure.
You know, it doesn't matter what sort of organization you are running. It can be a small business, it can be a family business, it can be a large enterprise. There must be processes, there must be standard operating procedures, and as much as possible, document the procedures. When you hire people, they must be inducted to those procedures. The literacy levels don't really matter. There's a way of still teaching people to do things. So you can train them if they see, and allow them to do it, and also allow them to make mistakes, and they learn. I've been accused sometimes of sharing mistakes. What I mean by sharing is one person will do something, and I'll call the whole team, and we discuss that error, not to embarrass the person, but to let others learn from that mistake. At Bot Longyear, where I became converted to quality, every morning when we start work, we start work at 7:30. When we start work, the first 30 minutes, 10 minutes, not even 30, 10 minutes, you're discussing what happened the previous day. What went wrong, what went right, what's on the table today, did we have angry customers, what was the cause of the anger, so that we all learn from each other's experiences, and that's where we improve. And in those meetings, you'd allow the juniors to ask questions, even challenge a superior on why anything was taking long, and would also alternate and allow everybody to chair those meetings. So even a cleaner would chair a meeting on a particular day, just for them to build confidence, and they'll be allowed to even speak in Bemba. Thank you.
Wow.
Awesome. Rev.
You know, I missed your question.
David?
Oh, to David. Okay, on standard operating procedures. Yeah, I mean, like she rightly put it, like she rightly put it, the key lies in ensuring that there is a system in place. It's very difficult to have a system unless you deliberately create one. And in systems, every system, one department and the next operate through processes. So there's a process from where things start to where it ends. And of course, you have to identify clearly where is the start and where's the end. If you're a service provider, the end always involves a client, or in the processing and conclusion of a particular endeavor. If it's a product, it means it goes from source to finished good and supplied to wherever it's supposed to go. So this whole process and all the chains aren't correct. There has to be a number of things that you start to really emphasize. And I think for me, for that to happen, the owner, because we're talking about an SME here, the owner has to take a keen hands-on approach, bringing their wealth of experience together with what is now the trending systems in this time and age. And then that combination with a keen spirit of learning and always being plugged into their industry. And plugging in means you belong to associations, you belong to professional groups and bodies, so that all this combined can help you learn what is the newest and most efficient way of running things at that particular time. This will definitely see somebody improve. But if they live in a little island and they think whatever they know is what they know, then definitely they're going to not grow.
Awesome. All right. The final question that we're going to look at, how do you handle favoritism as an employee? I'll allow each one of you to touch on that, and then we'll wind up.
So
We start
okay,
with
Namucana is the no. Let me start because Namucana is the HR expert, so she knows better. So she'll give a professional answer. Let me start with my performance answer, then she'll bring in the professional answer. For me, if you're an employee, I believe the key lies in performing. You know, I've always believed that gifts are what set us in a place. You know, whatever you carry as your gift, that's your fruit. That's what others eat. So if the fruit sucks, I'm telling you, it doesn't matter. You will not be a favorite. You will not even be liked. In fact, you'll be tolerated and finally eliminated. But you know, so you will never be celebrated. You know what I mean? So the key lies in being indispensable, learning to identify quick, become indispensable. I don't want to take very long, but I just love the story of Hidden Figures, where it's a story about Black American ladies who were literally human computers back in the 60s working for NASA. They could calculate mind-boggling calculations in seconds. And they did it very well, and they were indispensable to the space program. But then in 1965, the IBM was invented, this big computer the size of this room. And these scientists from NASA were trying to figure out how to use this thing. So these ladies very quickly realized once that machine works, we are finished. So you know what they did? They quickly went and learned how to operate that machine. So by the time those Muzungu scientists figured out how to use that machine, then they said, okay, ladies, we don't need you. These things can work 10 times faster. They said, yeah, but you need somebody to operate it. You need somebody to program it. Or do you know? Yes, we do. And so they remained. And so for me, I believe that's the secret. Learning how to remain relevant to your organization. You will become a favorite whether they like it or not because you bring results.
That's
Chana, over to you.
yeah, and
I
that's
love
the
the
Kaizen
hidden.
concept, right?
Yes.
Uh-oh.
I love
Go
Hidden
ahead.
Figures, Reverend. I've seen it and I'd love to see it
Yeah,
again.
it's
It's a
internet
wonderful
today.
movie. So, how do you deal with favoritism as an employee? In fact, both as an employee, as an employer, if you have standard operating
Freezer picked.
procedures, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. And then there's I think Vincent has amplified the question. He's adding to say, I mean, when the underperforming are being favored.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, in fact, that's even easier to answer. If you have the old, performance appraisal system where the appraiser is the supervisor, he sits alone and has a sheet of paper that has different numbers, quality 4, attendance 3, and they have that range of scoring where it's not related to your job. Then they can be subjectivity, they can be favoritism, his rating, and just think, oh, this girl, yeah, I don't like her nose, I don't like the way she talks. And then the personality, this one is a union leader, I don't like the way he talks. That's got nothing to do with the job. And that happens when you have the old performance appraisal. But when you have the new modern performance management and development, the supervisor and the employee will sit down at the beginning of the year or whatever period, agree on what has to be done. And normally this will be derived from a strategic plan. The department will pick out departmental objectives, and then they are cascaded down to the employee and the individual action plan. So the employee sits with the employer or supervisor to agree on what has to be achieved, how the achievements will be measured. The employer provides the tools that an employee needs in order to deliver, and also provides the constant support, encouragement, training, coaching, and motivating. Then even halfway through, then the employer doesn't wait, or the employer's representative will not wait until the end of the year before they do the assessment. It must be continuous. On a daily basis, they're monitoring. On a monthly basis, they maybe sit and review. When they notice an issue, they sit down and discuss it. An employee should be free to go to the superior and say, look, I'm having challenges with this. How can you help? You don't wait until after 1 year and then you say, oh yeah, good. You remember in March you did this. In April you also did that. Then you're not helping. So when you have a performance management system that's tabulated, it's written down, Even the employee will know when they are meeting the objectives or when they are not. So it becomes very objective, doesn't look at faces, doesn't look at names, doesn't look at personalities. Somebody can be talkative or they can always be condemning management, but if their performance is good, they'll still be, given a proper review and rewarded accordingly. So the employer will have standard operating procedures, they'll have guidelines. The job of the employee is to adhere to those procedures and policies and guidelines. That way you eliminate favoritism. And then managers should look out for the dangers of favoritism. If they notice certain patterns, they can discourage those or deal with them. If they notice gossip, because sometimes there's so much gossip in institutions and it's not even founded, managers must not give room to gossip. Somebody says something, you investigate and give chance to the accused to exculpate themselves. So these are human things, and they're difficult sometimes, because sometimes somebody doesn't even know they have a liking for a particular employee. It's not intentional, it just happens. I like people who work hard, for instance. If I assign someone and they're always delivering on time, I'll probably find myself assigning one person more assignments than others, not deliberately, but because I know that this person is going to deliver. So what managers need to do is to identify weaknesses of their staff and encourage them to perform, and also give them an opportunity. You'll be amazed what employees can do when they know that their boss is supportive. Not where the superior says, I knew you didn't do this, I wonder, let me do it myself. Then you're not helping. A good manager is one whose job can go on even when they're on leave. But you find some people can't go, no, when I'm on leave, nothing will happen in this place. Then there's something wrong with it. Thank you, Webster.
Wow. Okay. That's it. All right. That's a good one. All right. So I feel like we should go for part 3, but all right. I know time can never be enough. I think we're going to end here, and maybe on that note, let me just ask Rev Water maybe to how do you summarize this topic under a minute or so, and then Namucana also summarize, and then we'll end there. Some of the questions that are coming through, we'll diligently answer them on our platform. They're there, so they will be answered. Rev, how do you wrap it up? You're on mute. You are muted, Rev. Wow. All right. Maybe Namucana, you can, as Rev is trying to figure out, maybe you can give your final remarks. How do you conclude this on this topic?
I began sharing on the Japanese, the Chinese, Japanese formula for success. I thought I would just finish that off. This is a formula by Professor Kazuo Inamori, a Japanese. He says success is equal to A times A times A. It's a formula I've personalized, and I try my best to use it and to teach it. 3 words that begin with A to ensure that at an individual level you succeed. The first one is ability. You have to have the knowledge and skill. If you don't have the skill, you learn. The second one is action. Having knowledge alone is not enough. And Zambia can boast of having very knowledgeable people who talk too much. We always have something to talk about every week. I don't know what we're talking about this week. And then, so you apply the knowledge, but most importantly, you must have the right attitude. So 3 is ability, action, attitude. Because with one person out of 200 having a negative attitude, all our achievements will just be raised to 0. One bad nut can spoil a mouthful. Thank you so much. And thanks for the different comments and for those who've been with us. Thank you, Webster. Thank you, Reverend.
Okay, I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yes, it's true.
Go ahead, Rev.
Okay,
Rev.
great. Can you hear me? I don't know if I'm heard
Yeah, go ahead.
at the moment with this signal.
Yeah.
Okay. So in a minute, very well put, Mwambazi. Special thank you to yourself, Webster, to Mwambazi, and all those who are joining us. Can you hear me? We're very
Yes,
grateful
yes.
to every one of them for this opportunity to be here. And really, in conclusion, yes, you can't hear me? You can hear me?
We can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, boy. Oh,
We can
okay.
hear.
So I was saying, and so when you look at the entire situation, you realize that the key is actually down to exactly how we maximize the opportunities that come our way. And I've found that the best way to maximize those opportunities is by operating within our area of purpose. So I think those who really want to perform at their best must find a way to align. And this has always been the hardest, to align what we call interest with your career and job. If these can merge so that they're one and the same, my friend, you are going to achieve excellence. Why? Because you will no longer be toiling, you will be working. And there's a very big difference between toiling and working. Toiling is what you endure because there's no option. Working is what you do because it pours out of you. And once that happens, I assure you, whatever field, they will perform brilliantly, because I find it very difficult. For example, when I say, okay, today's my day off, I always find even on my day off, the things I do are completely identical to what I do when I'm working. So it's so difficult to differentiate. So you look like you're a workaholic, but you're actually not a workaholic. You're not a workaholic because in reality, you are not a workaholic because in reality, your work is your job. So that's what it is. So I hope that for most of those who are watching, we can get to that level. I think when they do so, they will see a massive improvement in performance.
Awesome. Operating in your purpose. I love that. So, well, that's what we had today. Thank you, Ms. Namucana Musiwa, for joining us. Thank you, Reverend Walter Mwambazi. And on behalf of the Presson Foundation, we say thank you so much. I think we should do a part 3. Not next week, we're going to announce when we're going to have part 3. But this topic really has been on point. Peak performance under the circumstances or amid COVID-19, where, performance issues really come into play. I think it's really been a timely topic, and thank you everyone who has participated by way of commenting, inviting friends, tagging, and so on and so forth. Thank you so much. And please remember to like our page, follow us on YouTube, like our YouTube channel, like our Facebook page, which is the Presson Foundation. And we'll be happy to continue sharing and exchanging ideas around many things that involve leadership. So thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Bye-bye, and